The first item will be to approve the contract, and then we'll take comment on that, okay? So with that, we need to do the flag salute. Christy, will you lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Are there any board comments or announcements? Don't see any. So are there any members of the public that would like to speak on agenda items that are not on the agenda? Seeing none, then we will go to the first item. And that is consider appointment of chief executive officer and adoption of resolution number 2023-08 approving employment agreement. Johanna, do you want to give us a report on that?
Yeah, yes, Chair. As you know, in June of 2023, the board started a recruitment for its next CEO. During that process, we retained the services of a professional recruitment firm that conducted the search for CEA. With 53 applicants, the subcommittee narrowed down the candidates to 4 for the whole board to interview. And after an interview process, they have identified the top candidate that they would like to negotiate with, at which point the subcommittee, myself, and our recruiter negotiated the contract that's before you for your consideration. I'm available to answer any questions you may have. And as you will note that the contract itself contemplates a base salary of $325,000 a year with benefits associated with it, similar to that of any CEA employee should we now have employees, but there are some there's some differences that's outlined in the contract. I'm available for any questions you may have.
Do any board members have any questions for our attorney? Then I would entertain, I need 2 motions. So I would entertain one motion to appoint Greg Wade and one to approve his contract.
Excuse me, Chair Drucker. Do you want to see if there's any public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there public comment on this? Yes, sir. Is there somebody that would like to comment on this item? No. No, this is about an appointment of our new CEO. Okay, well, if you come forward and
I don't think the mic is on.
Is this one better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that we focus on local clean energy that would help to avoid any unnecessary and overly costly transmission costs to our ratepayers. So it is very important, I mean, for me personally, as a clean energy advocate, that equity is centered. Our San Diego Community Power has done an excellent job in focusing on equity with their community power plan. And I would also want to recommend or put before you as a suggestion that there are some good things for many of our community choice energy that does focus on equity, and equity being defined for communities of concern are low, moderate income, Black and Brown communities that bear what is called energy burden, where they pay more of their income towards their energy bill in ratio to the energy or in ratio to the income that they have. So again, we welcome our new CEO, and I just really hope, because our previous interim CEO was very, very committed to local clean energy as well as equity. And I just hope that our new CEO also would embody those attributes and that approach. Thank you.
Now I will entertain a motion.
I'd be happy to make that motion. I would move that we appoint our new CEO as Gregory Wade and approve his contract as outlined.
Second.
Okay. So is there any discussion? Go ahead, Katie.
Yes, I'd love to make a comment on this. I just want to say thank you to my subcommittee members for going through a number of applications. Thank you to our consultants and to our advisors, and also to our interim CEO, who was very helpful in the process as well. And I want to say thank you to all of the applicants, and especially thank you to Greg, who is being considered here. I found that he was someone who clearly had energy industry knowledge that was very robust for this position, as well as significant public administration experience. But most importantly, what really set Mr. Wade apart was his passion for climate action and his commitment to local community benefit. So I'm feeling really hopeful about the future of CEA with new leadership in Greg Wade. So thank you very much. And I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that this is going to be a wonderful thing for our organization.
So let's pass the resolution. Let Greg come up and then we'll embarrass him. Okay? So with that, we have two motions on the floor. Will the clerk, Barbara, please call the roll?
Yes. Member Becker? Member Bhat Patel?
Yes.
Member Sanchez?
Yes.
Member Melendez?
Yes.
Member Garcia?
Yes, yes.
Member Sanella?
Yes.
And Chair Drucker?
Yes.
Motion
So-
carried.
Congratulations, Greg.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? You can hear me? Okay. Thank you so very much. I am very honored and humbled to be given this exceptional opportunity. Commissioner Melendez, thank you, board member Melendez, thank you for your kind words, Chair Drucker and the rest of the board. As I said, I'm very humbled by this opportunity. I'm excited to get to work advancing not only the goals of community choice energy in general, but the goals and objectives of CEA specifically. Looking forward to working within each of your communities to advance these goals. And I'm just really excited to be able to take the work that Barb Boswell has initiated and run with it. Building a team here at CEA is an exciting opportunity, and I really look forward to it, and I can't thank you enough.
Again, Greg, we really appreciate you being here today and appreciate the ability to work with you into the future. So I'm sure some of the members would like to also welcome you aboard. So go ahead, Christy.
Thank you. So it's super bittersweet for me to lose you, and for Solana Beach to lose you as our city manager. You have been such a strong leader for the city, and
I personally am sad to see you go, but there was no denying that you were our top candidate for this position. And so I couldn't sabotage you. And so I'm excited that that you accepted the position, and I look forward to working with you.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations, Greg. Looking forward to working with you in this capacity. I think, there were quite a few words said with regards to, I know there's talent that you've built throughout your career that we're definitely going to benefit from. And I think that's really exciting as we start to go into this next phase of what CEA looks like. I am hopeful that you'll be bringing it to a place that it really needs to be. And I know that, one of our speakers spoke about equity, and I know that's something that you do put first and foremost in front of some of the decisions that you make. And I know it's really important to me. So looking forward to working on that together. Congratulations.
Thank you. Well, welcome on board. We are very excited to have you. I hadn't had the opportunity to meet you other than through your resume, then through the interview, but to hear my colleagues speak so highly of you was definitely a joy. So welcome on board. Look forward to working with you and for you to apply your knowledge and your skills to make our organization even a better one that it is now. Thank you.
Mike, anything? Esther, go ahead, Mike.
Well, welcome aboard, Greg. And I know we haven't had an opportunity to meet, and I just wanted to thank all of my colleagues on the board here and the staff members who helped facilitate this hiring. I have had the opportunity to go through hiring executives at Encina and Vallecito's and recently at San Marcos. And so I know it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time and effort that it's put into it. So thank you, everybody, for your efforts. And again, we haven't had a chance to get to know each other, but from everything I've read about you and heard about you, I'm very hopeful and excited for the future for CEA, and just welcome aboard.
Esther? Okay. Greg, again, welcome aboard. We're very pleased to have somebody that has the deep knowledge and experience that you have for CCAs. All of us look forward to working with you and taking CEA to the next level. We also very much appreciate Barb and all the work she's done. We are not saying farewell to her this meeting. Will continue to be here for another two more meetings in October and November. We look forward to chatting with you in the next couple months so that you can hit the ground running and help. The huge thing right now is to get Oceanside and Vista on board. And we know that you'll make all the efforts you can to have the participation rate be as high as possible. So again, all of us are open, I'm sure, to be able to chat with you whenever you need. And again, congratulations, welcome aboard. You need to go sign the contract before you have any doubts at this point. So again, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I signed my name, Gregory Wade. You can call me Greg. So, thank you very much. And I did also want to thank the selection subcommittee as well as the entire board for their effort. I've been a part of these recruitments, and I know how challenging they can be. And again, to be selected is just an honor and a true privilege. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. So. Okay, so now we go under consent calendar. Because our clerk is not here, I'm going to read the consent calendar items. So they are number 2 is Clean Energy Alliance Treasurer's Report for June 2023. Item 3 is Clean Energy Alliance Treasurer's Report for July 2023. Item 4 is consider appointment of Mika Nagimin for Community Advisory Committee representing City of Solana Beach for term through December 2024. Item 5 is consider adopting resolution number 2023-007, attesting to the veracity of the 2022 power source disclosure reports and power content labeling, addressing the Clean Impact Plus, and Green Impact Power retail electric service offerings. Item 6 is consider approval of 11-year power purchase agreement for resource adequacy with Edwards Solar 1A LLC in satisfaction of a portion of Clean Energy Alliance's midterm reliability requirements. So are there any items that anybody would like to take off the consent calendar?
Through the chair, I didn't want to take one off, but can I make a comment about item number 4?
Do you want to just have a comment on that?
Yeah, I just
Go
wanted
ahead,
to make
please
a
go
quick
ahead.
comment. So this is the appointment of our CAC person, and her name is Mika, and I'm just honored that she applied for the position. She is on our Climate Action Commission in Solana Beach. She's been on that commission for over a year, and I've seen some of the work that she's done. She's a data analyst, and she analyzed a lot of the where electric vehicle chargers might best be put in the city. And so I know she's a really hard worker, and she will bring a lot of value to our CAC here at CEA.
Yeah, so actually I do know Mika
Oh, good.
from the technology world.
Oh, good. Yeah. So
Appreciate that appointment. Are there any other agenda items that anybody would like to make, that would like to pull? Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on an item that's on the consent calendar? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, very good. Barbara, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Chair, thank you. Member Bhat Patel,
Aye.
Member Sanchez,
Yes.
Member Melendez,
Yes.
Member Becker,
yes.
Member Garcia,
Aye.
Member Sinella,
Yes.
Chair Drucker.
Yes. Did you ask Chair, Member Becker? Okay, missed that. Very good. So it passes unanimously. And now we go on to new business. And Barbara, you are up.
Thank you, Chair Drucker. I'll just make a couple of quick comments and then turn it over to our regulatory team. In addition to the recruitment for the Chief Executive Officer, Clean Energy Alliance also has 4 positions it's currently has open and is recruiting for. Those include the board secretary, an administrative assistant, a key accounts program manager, a regulatory analyst, and a power procurement manager. Those recruitments are well underway, and we have interviews scheduled coming up for the coming month, and we look forward to filling those positions and really building our staff very quickly once we have our new CEO on board, which I'm very excited about. So with that, I would like to introduce our regulatory team. We have Tim Lindell and Jake Schlesinger from Keys and Fox, and they are going to provide this month's regulatory report. So if you guys can turn on your cameras, and we're ready for you.
So
Yeah, thank you, Barb.
Error that I'm not able to start the video because the host has stopped it.
Yeah, I'm getting the same thing, Barb.
Let me see if it looks like somebody does have the presentation up, so I think we can run it from here.
Yeah, if you just tell me to switch slides, I'm happy to do that for you.
That sounds good. There we go. I think I was able to appear now. Hi, everybody. Tim Lindell. It's nice to see you all again. Chair Drucker, members, thanks very much for inviting us. Want to wish you congratulations, Greg, as well. Certainly look forward to meeting you soon. I met many of you in person out in July when we had first taken over from Ty Tosdal's firm. And I will be back in person with you all at the October meeting. So looking forward to reconnect with you all then. Next slide, please. With me today is Jake Schlesinger. He is a partner at our firm, works very closely with me on a number of dockets. Jake actually has presented to this board in the past, but since there is a lot of turnover in the board since the last time he presented, I thought a quick introduction might make sense. Jake, you want to take it away?
Sure. I don't have a lot more to add other than what Tim said. I've been here at Keys and Fox for about 9 years, been working on these CCA GRC issues for about the last 6. I've litigated a number of the PG&E GRC cases on behalf of the Northern California CCA. So as you can imagine, we've got some similar issues there. Before that, did consumer advocacy work at the Colorado PUC, kind of similar to the role that Turn plays in California. So yeah, great to be back, and thanks for letting me participate, and congratulations, Greg, and I look forward to working with you.
All right, we have 3 items we want to run through today, keeping in mind that we try to make this, we try to translate from various forms of regulatory complexity into things that people don't follow these things every single day can understand. So if you have questions, please don't be shy to ask them. Jake's going to talk through the 2 different general rate cases that SDG&E currently has pending before the commission. And then I will take on this last item here, a petition for modification in the integrated resource planning proceeding. Next slide, please.
Great, thanks, Tim. Yeah, just going to talk about the SDG&E GRC cycle. Basically, we are kind of at the end of the phase 1 and just at the beginning of the phase 2. I'm mostly going to talk about phase 1 here. We have fully briefed this proceeding. We had a hearing back in June. It was somewhat of a contentious hearing, not necessarily on our part, but just a lot of argument, I'd say, among the parties. When we get involved in a GRC phase 1 for a CCA group, one of the things that we look for really closely is to make sure that the revenue requirements, the utilities costs are being put in the right bucket. So we want to make sure that the generation costs are being recovered in generation rates and the distribution costs are being recovered in distribution rates to avoid having unbundled customers subsidizing bundled customers. In this case, we did that investigation. We didn't actually find any major violations, and so didn't really address that issue here in this particular phase 1. Instead, we're focusing more on PCIA issues and specifically making sure that utility generation costs don't just keep going into the PCIA, to the legacy PCIA vintages in perpetuity. And so there were 2 main issues kind of under that main goal that we addressed in this proceeding. The first had to do with the Miramar energy generating facility, and the second was more of a process issue. As you all know, the purpose of the PCIA is to make sure that unbundled customers continue to pay for costs that were originally incurred to serve them before they departed. And the commission has been very clear that unbundled customer cost responsibility is really only for those resource commitments that were made up until the time that the customer departed. And so in order to effectuate that intent, the PCIA is broken up into various vintages, and customers pay the PCIA for the period before they departed service. So in this proceeding, SDG&E is seeking to invest tens of millions of dollars at its Miramar energy facility, which has traditionally been a gas peaker plant. Basically what they're proposing to do is convert it to a hybrid gas battery plant. This would add 9 megawatts of additional capacity. That's resource adequacy that gets assigned to bundled customers. But it would also kind of change the nature of how the plant operates. It would change the amount of sales of both capacity and energy into the CAISO market, but it would also allow the facility to run just on those batteries. So when a utility comes in and proposes to build a new generation plant, an entirely new facility, or to contract for an entirely new PPA, it's really clear that that new resource belongs in a new vintage. So if SDG&E were to acquire a new generation resource today, it would be in a 2023 vintage. But it's less clear what happens when the utility goes back and invests in these older facilities. Miramar is comprised of 2 units. Unit 1 was constructed in 2004. Unit 2 was constructed in 2008. And so the costs for Miramar go into those 2 vintages, 04 and 08. Customers that departed after that pay for those costs. And so, of course, that's almost all of your customers, probably all of your customers. And so it's less clear what happens when, what is the investment there? Is that considered to be a new commitment? That's really the issue that we're trying to address. The commission did speak to this several years ago in response to just general concerns that CCAs had raised about this issue. And so they had stated back in 2019 that it is possible that new investments in old power plants may represent such a significant overhaul of the facility as to justify a revintaging. They also acknowledge that it's possible that certain plant investments for upgrades could justify different vintage treatment than for those investments than for the underlying facility. So in this case, thinking about the batteries as being an incremental investment. So, we're essentially arguing that adding these batteries and changing this to a hybrid facility does change the fundamental nature of this plant, and that if the commission approves these investments, that the plant should become a 2024 vintage. There are questions, I guess, as to whether or not they even need to do these upgrades, to add this 9 megawatts in light of the fact that so many customers are departing, and SDG&E is not anticipating any growth at all. But our argument is that if the commission approves this, it needs to deal with the vintaging, and short of revintaging the whole facility, it should at the very least treat the incremental investments, the new batteries, as a newly vintaged commitment. So that's really issue number 1. That's kind of our main issue in this case. Issue number 2 is more process oriented. We're just asking the commission to make sure that these issues get addressed up front. Both in this case and in the PG&E case, the utilities came in and they just proposed new investments or asset life extensions, and they didn't say anything about the vintaging. If we weren't there, if we hadn't raised our voices, those costs would just go into the legacy vintage. That's just the default. And so we're looking for the commission to tell the utilities, look, when you come in and you're looking to reinvest in these facilities, you have to address the vintaging up front. So we made a similar argument in the PG&E case. Just a quick update on that. We did get a proposed decision in the PG&E GRC 1 early last week. It was discouraging in many ways. I guess I'll start with the good news is that they did somewhat adopt our vintaging framework. They did tell the utilities that they need to come in and address these issues in future GRCs. In the PG&E case, there was not such a clear investment in a particular facility like there is at Miramar. Instead, the PG&E had proposed to extend the useful lives of about a dozen of its hydro facilities. And on that issue, the commission said, we don't have enough evidence in the record. Go argue it in a narrow proceeding. This kind of made Tim's and my head explode because we've been kicked around from proceeding to proceeding on this issue. And I find it somewhat absurd that they say that there's not enough evidence in the record in that case. We had hundreds and hundreds of pages of expert testimony and briefing, and provided the commission with very detailed ordering paragraphs. So they could have hit the easy button, but they instead decided to skirt it. So we're still fighting on that. In Northern California, of course, it does have a bearing on what we expect to see here. Although I will say that the facts here with the Miramar upgrades are more clear cut than a simple extension of useful lives in the PG&E service territory. So for the SDG&E case, we're continuing to have ex parte meetings with advisors and kind of play the that part of the game. And we'll update you as that progresses. Next slide, please. And I'm going to hit this one really quick. Phase 2 GRC, we're just getting started on. Our testimony is due in January. We have two main issues here that we're looking to address. The first has to do with how the PCIA is shown on customer bills, both for bundled and unbundled customers, and how the care discount is shown on customer bills. In all three of these cases, our concern is that the way that it's being shown to customers is confusing and basically makes them think that CCA service is more expensive than it actually is. The second major issue that we're going to address in the phase 2 is Schedule S, that's standby service. These are large CNI customers that have their own generation. Sometimes they need to take their own generation down for maintenance. And during those times, they need to call on the utility or their local LSE to provide generation. Currently, it is impossible for the San Diego CCAs to serve these customers because it's impossible for you all to mirror SDG&E's rates. And so we're going to be working on that and to make sure that the way that SDG&E charges these customers allows CCAs to also serve them, which is consistent with the other IOUs in California as well. That's all I have on GRCs.
All right, let's go to the next slide then. Thanks, Jake. All right, the last issue we wanted to hit for you all today was a petition for modification in the integrated resource planning proceeding. There's a lot of back and forth and ins and outs in this case. A simple way to boil it down is to say that SDG&E was supposed to allow Clean Energy Alliance to procure 13 megawatts of capacity at a certain price. That price is called the benchmark or the RA benchmark, the capacity benchmark. That price is currently lower than what market prices are. That 13 megawatts is tied to the 86,000 departures in Escondido and San Marcos this year. SDG&E found a loophole in some ambiguous language to argue the ambiguous language from a commission decision to argue that it shouldn't have to sell that 13 megawatts to CEA at a discount. The firm that was previously representing you all back in October of last year filed a petition for modification to say, hey, commission, we all know what you meant here. This shouldn't be too difficult to clarify this. Can you please clarify this so that our customers do not end up paying twice for the same capacity? Unfortunately, in August, the commission issued a proposed decision that denied that petition for modification. So we have until October 12th, as it says at the bottom of this slide, to try to get that proposed decision reversed. We have filed comments at the Public Utilities Commission outlining just how expensive this will be for the San Diego area CCAs. So it's not just the 86,000 in your service territory, it's 200,000 in SDCP's territory. So you get up to 49 megawatts. And you multiply that over the next 12 years, and there's going to be an additional somewhere between 50 to nearly $100 million in costs that the customers in the most with the highest rates in the country are going to have to pay. So we have been discussing this with the commission via those comments and via meetings with the commissioner's office that's in charge of this case. We'll continue to advocate to get this proposed decision changed, and hopefully we can do so before the commission's October 12th business meeting. Next slide, please. That is all. Any questions for us on those issues? I know that they are dense.
Yes, so questions from the board? Christy?
Yeah, I just have a comment, and I just wanted to say I'm really appreciative of the work that you're doing. It's just really important. I feel like having been in the CCA world for the 5 years I've been on council, it has been so frustrating that at every turn, I feel like SDG&E is sabotaging CCAs. And so you guys must feel frustrated as well, because I don't hear a lot of good news coming out of these decisions. But just wanted to say that it's important work. And I feel like if on the first GRC that you spoke about, if you did get that to go in our favor that the vintage would be 2024, I do wonder if SDG&E would reconsider that, even doing that deal, because like you said, there's not that many people left that would be in vintage 2024. And do they need the 9 megawatts? But anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for looking out for us, because we certainly need you at this time.
Thank you, Member Becker. I appreciate it. The answer to your question is yes. If this is in the 2024 vintage SDG&E, I will not move forward with those investments.
Very good. Other questions? Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this? Please come forward, state your name, and fill out a speaker slip and hand it in.
Wasn't expecting to speak on it, but Rob Howard, Oceanside resident. A couple of things. One, I appreciate the report, and what I would ask for is if there is a way we can get some of this information distilled to allow the CAC and other community organizations to advocate on this issue, because it is a consistent issue. There are a number of green energy companies that are attempting to work and bring storage and get behind the meter to give room and space on the grid. And CCAs have a great opportunity to get that energy, become an off-taker. But the problem is, it's not just this rule. There are a number of rules, like one of the utility rules that benefits the utility is, they call it Rule 19. Rule 19 says if I'm going to put a microgrid or provide energy for a commercial building, then wouldn't it stand to reason you want to individually meter each person in there, because the nail shop is probably going to use less energy than the actual restaurant. But Rule 19 says if you do it, that's fine, but you have to pay the utility bill for everyone there. So it only really works on like office buildings where each individual tenant just pays the rent. So I would just ask if we can get that information, we can get it whittled down so we can share with folks, because this issue where SDG&E, we lost a ruling against SDG&E with something that is a common sense thing for the CCAs, then we can have other people advocate to the commission, because I spoke with a commissioner and he just admitted that we see blue suits in here all the time and we don't see regular constituents. And so I just would like to see us, if we can, is there a way we can work with the new CEO and staff to get information that we can share with the community so they can make phone calls, they can send letters, because they need to hear from us that what they're doing doesn't help us get to a clean energy future. And that's my big concern. The rules are written for 1980 utility monopoly operation, and several of these need evaluation to be able to change them to the new distributed energy grid we're trying to do now. The rules just aren't written for the work we're trying to do, and if we don't advocate for the change, it's not going to happen. And so again, I'd really like to support the CCA in this work. Let us know there are community organizations that want to get involved, because honestly, we cannot afford the rates as they're going. And if we don't do something about it with our CCA, it's going to continue to get higher. Thank you again, Rob Howard, Oceanside resident.
Trying to unmute here. So just a quick response to the public comment, and maybe this might have to be a future agenda item. I'm just looking at Johanna, but it would be helpful for us to have a discussion around, like when we're, let's just say as CEA, taking positions on things, or at least trying to advocate for certain things, if there's a way for us to use our comms folks to provide information to the public about where we're going to be. So again, I won't go into detail because I know that's not agendized, but would love to be able to do that in the future.
Understood. And I believe your new CEO also heard that. So
great. Thank you.
Other questions, comments on this? Well, Tim and Jake, I appreciate your presentation. In similar vein to what I think Christy and Priya says, we need to figure out how we can do a better job advocating at the PUC. What can we, so what can we do? And we need to think about that, how we can advocate so that we're not getting the short end of the stick. And, so Barbara, let's chat about that and go from there. Any other questions on this? Okay, so now we are on to board member requests for future agenda items. Any? Okay, so the next regular board meeting is October 26th at 2023 here in Oceanside, 300 North Coast Highway, Oceanside, California, and we are adjourned.